One very prevalent card back on Legacy during the tank meta was Satori Cloak. It does a very interesting passive effect, and while with a lot of armor back then, it was very effective. Now on Monolith, armor was changed, but the passive wasn't, so it really kind of fell off, but it was recently buffed, and we are taking a look at the math behind Satori Cloak. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Paragon Guide. I am Sylphin, wearing, dun dun dun, yeah, love it. So guys, in this video we're taking a look at Satori Cloak. It's a very interesting card here that is a 5 CP order card. You get 1 CP of attack speed on the card and nothing else. 1 minus 5 is 4 CP, therefore is left as the cost for the passive. So it's a 4 CP passive, 1 CP of attack speed. The passive is basic attacks shred 50% basic armor for 1.5 seconds. So shred not only benefits you, but also your entire team. So penetration works on only your attacks that pierces through armor. Shred removes that armor basically so that your entire team gains the benefit of the target having reduced armor. So basic attacks shred for your entire team 50% of the target's basic armor for 1.5 seconds. Fantastic. Now, the opportunity cost of this card is 1 CP. The 1 CP is there. You're losing 1 CP because it does not have a fully upgraded bonus. So you're choosing to get this card without a fully upgraded bonus, so that's 1 CP you're choosing not to have. We're gonna tack on that opportunity cost to the passive and choose to say that it is a 5 CP cost of the passive. Normally, you can get an equipment, you can get a fully upgraded bonus, meaning this 5 CP order card should give you 6 of value, but, well, it doesn't. So we're gonna have to see if the passive, which costs 4 CP, but really in essence, it costs 5, we're gonna have to see if it is worth 5 CP here in the math. So we gotta make some statements here that kind of define the context around which this card functions. And statement 1, casters have 22, fighters 31.5, and rangers 46 basic armor amounts. All heroes have base armor amounts based on their role and their hero. Now that Serath is one of the only ones with a different base armor amount. Greystone gets it on his kit, but Serath has it actually like different on her base stats. So 22, 31.5, and 46 basic armor amounts. It's very important because, you know, shred and penetration will work on no matter who you are fighting, regardless if they build armor or not. Statement 2, shredded armor benefits teammates. Carry, fighter, and maybe a basic attack assassin could benefit. So that means that you're getting almost, in a way, 2 to 3 times the value of this active, or of this passive, pardon me. Remember, like, if 2 or 3 other people are going to utilize, like really utilize, your shred, you can almost think of it as doubling or tripling in value simply because, well, you're helping them out. So you kind of see what I mean? So we're gonna take a look at that later on and see if that changes anything. If doubling or tripling its value, since 2 or 3 other people are going to be utilizing it, that might be a consideration. Statement 3, 5 CP of basic penetration is 20 pierce. If we take the cost of this passive 5 CP and convert it into penetration, which is kind of what shred is, it's just it benefits the whole team, it's 20 pierce. So that is kind of the benchmark. Is it worth 20 pierce or not? And then we can take in some other statements into consideration as well. Here is the analysis, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to try to explain it as best as I can. The minimum amount of armor needed on a target for the passive to pay for itself. 20 pierce divided by 50 shred is 40 basic armor. If you want 20 pierce, which is 5 CP of basic penetration, which is the cost of the passive, and you know, they have to at least shred 50% to get that value, then it's 40 basic armor. So if 40 basic armor is where it pays for itself, heroes who have at least 40 basic armor are rangers and tanks and tanky supports. Tanks, they're going to build armor, and tanky supports, they're going to build armor as well, increasing their base amount so that they have at least 40. So heroes who have at least 40 basic armor are rangers, tanks, and tanky supports. As long as you are attacking them, Satori Cloak is paying for itself. Now, what is the value on Satori Cloak on fighters though, who don't have 40, they have only 31.5? Well, 31.5 basic armor times 50% shred equals 15.75 pierce, not 20 like we discovered here, which is 5 CP, divided by 4 pierce per CP gives us roughly 4 CP of value. So instead of 5 against instead of 5 to pay for itself, we're getting about 4 CP. It's like 3.8 something or other, something like that. Almost 4 CP of value instead of 5. So against a fighter that's building no additional basic armor, you're not getting the full value out of Satori Cloak. It's hurting you a bit. We'll get to something later. We'll get to something later on. The value of Satori Cloak on casters though, you might be like, ooh boy, well casters have even less base armor, so how does that work? Well, 22 basic armor times 50% shred is 11 pierce. So 4 pierce per CP equals 2.75 CP of value. As you can see, 2.75, 5 CP that you're actually paying for the passive. It's basically 50% as valuable as what you're paying for it. So you're only getting 50% of your money's worth. Again, there's something else to think of later on. So against a caster, you're really not getting your money's worth out of Satori Cloak. Now, value of Satori Cloak on a 100 armor tank or support. So you're coming up against a steel that's built armor, you're coming up against a decker that's built armor, somebody that has 100 basic armor. 100 basic armor times 50% shred is 50 pierce. You are getting 50 pierce out of Satori Cloak because they have 100 base armor. Divided by 4 pierce per CP gives us a 12.5 CP's worth of value. Holy cow! You paid 5 CP for the passive, and you're getting 12.5 CP of value. You have doubled. You have, what is that? That's 75%, 125% more value from what you paid for. So guys, against a tank, boy, it is worth it. Holy smokes, you get your money's worth by far. It's insane. So that's really nice. The value on a ranger, of course, at 46 instead of 40 at the payoff. So it's a little bit more, probably like 6 CP of value, something like that. Well, actually, I can tell you, 6.5 CP of value. That's easy math. So 6.5 CP of value when you're paying 5 for it on a ranger. There you go. There's some quick math for you to get the value against a ranger. So that is that. You can see against a tank, against an armored tank or armored support, you get a ton of value, obviously depending on how much armor they actually build, but it pays for itself tremendously. Even against a ranger, it really does pay for itself quite handily as well. Again, 6.5 CP, where you only paid 5, that's pretty damn good. Now, what is some conclusions here that we can make? Satori Cloak pays for itself against targets greater than 40 basic armor. As long as your opponent has more than 40 basic armor, Satori Cloak pays for itself. You're not throwing money down the drain. Perfect. Satori Cloak is incredibly valuable against tanks or armored targets. As soon as they add even a couple CPs, like a fighter just has to add 2 CP worth of armor in order for your passive to work. So that's not even a tempered plate fully upgraded. Caster, yeah, they have to add like 4 CP worth of basic armor in order for it to actually be worth, but that's not hard to do, and casters definitely do. Well, a support caster anyways, definitely pretty much going to do that for sure. So guys, it's incredibly valuable against tanks. Now, what I said before that we're going to come up against, what we're going to consider is the value is arguable. Not sure why I uppercase those. Against casters and fighters, due to how Shred helps the entire team, 2 or 3 times its CP value. So remember, Shred helps your entire team. Your Ranger is really only going to... Your Ranger is going to definitely utilize it, but the effect is marginal. It's going to be a % or 2 increase in their DPS. You're really only going to increase their DPS by 1 or 2%. Unfortunately, that's just how math works. And if they are building penetration, I mean, you're talking very marginal increase. Please go check out... well, actually, that video is coming out soon. Does penetration actually really function well on Rangers? No, unfortunately not. It's very marginal. So your Ranger's going to get some damage out of it. Their burst is going to be really good. If you have a bursty Twin Blast, they can definitely use your Shred a bit. But the rest of Rangers, not really. But the fighters, your fighters and your basic attack assassins, or lots of basic damage and stuff like that, they're definitely going to utilize that. So you can consider these values here against a fighter or against a caster here. So the 4 or this 2.75 CP of value against a caster as 2 or 3 times as valuable as it is. So this value here on the fighters becomes 8, 12 CP of value if you take into consideration that you're helping your teammates, right? That's damn good. Here on this caster, 2.75 CP of value turns into what? 5.25 or 5.5 CP of value, or 7, 8, whatever that is. So 8 CP of value, if you consider the value to the whole team, that's pretty good still. Even on a caster, that's not really paying off for you. It's paying off for your team, at least in a large sense. So that is a consideration. Basically, this means no matter who you're fighting for, it's either going to be worth it entirely on its own against a Ranger and tank or tanky supports, or it at least profits the entire team. At least profits the entire team. Basically, it's a win-win. It's a win-win. If it doesn't strictly pay off for you, it's paying off for the entire team. I would recommend it for frontline heroes, tanks, and bruisers. If you're going for assassins, or just a high damage fighter that you're turning into an assassin, it's not going to pay off. Use that incredibly valuable CP elsewhere to get more DPS for sure. Absolutely. I would only recommend it on tanks if you want to be really supporty, really support utility tank, or a bruiser that, again, you're in there causing havoc, making sure everybody else is doing a good damage, plus yourself, of course. I would recommend it for frontline heroes, not assassins. Definitely not Rangers, of course, not your carries as well. So there you guys go. Satori Cloak, TLDR. It's either worth it on its own against a Ranger and armored targets, or it at least profits your entire team. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let me know down in the comments below, what do you guys think of Satori Cloak? Have I forgotten anything? Am I totally off my rocker? Are there other perspectives that I'm considering? And are those perspectives totally out there? Or am I forgetting something? Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Looks good, baby. Satori Cloak looks incredible. Please like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share it with the community, and of course, guys, subscribe. If you guys like this content, found it useful especially, please subscribe. So I would love to do it for you in the future. Till next time, like always, stay optimistic and positive.